guys, Travis from the Third Gear Speed Shop with a overdue update on the Freddy Smith Dirt Track Camaro. It's been, gosh, at least 3 weeks since the last installment of this build, and I've just been working away at it and getting closer and closer to finishing it. So I hadn't really paused to make a video, but I thought before I got too far in the process, and I would show you guys the progress, and then probably the next time we make a video will be the final reveal, hopefully. So I'll be posting this video tomorrow, which will be Thanksgiving. So I just wanted to wish everyone out there, all my viewers, subscribers, happy Thanksgiving. And this year's been quite a doozy. So personally, you know, I'm just thankful for my health and my family's health, and you know, everything that's happened in the last several months. Just really thankful that you know, I still have my job, I have my health. So whatever you guys do tomorrow or today, I guess, since this will be uploaded today or on Thanksgiving, you know, have a safe, happy Thanksgiving and enjoy yourself. So with that, let's jump over to the bench and I'll show you what I have been working on. All right, so I guess the first thing that you will notice is I actually have paint on it, and that's kind of what I've been doing the last week or so, is getting paint laid down on the body and on the chassis. Kind of planned it to where all of the paint sessions per color would be done at the same time. So I did all of the blue on the body and on the frame at the same time. So we'll just start with the body and show you where we are with that, and then we'll work our way back down to the chassis. So this is the body completed except for decals. So this is the Tamiya Pure White, and then the Tamiya TS55, and I'm sorry, TS54, and this right here. So I was really happy with the way the paint color turned out compared to the reference material I have. It's probably not dead on, but it's as close, I think, as I could find in the Tamiya line of paints, which I'm use exclusively after the last few builds. It just goes down super clean, smooth. There's no you know, no orange peel or anything in it. Of course, this isn't a show quality paint job by any means, but neither was the real thing. So and then the spoilers, front and back, are the Tamiya semi-flat or semi-gloss black. And so then I just hit all the little rivets that I made with a Molotov chrome pin. And the only piece that I'm kind of not that happy with is this area right in here. I didn't get my masking 100% perfect, so I'm not going to sweat it. We'll just move on. I think it would take a lot more redoing to fix it at this point than to just chalk it up for, you know, to experience. But I did use the Tamiya tape for this project. First time I'd used this before. Used a 6mm, and this stuff worked really good. I found that the lines are nice and crisp, you know, and the fault of, you know, the reason why it's not 100% perfect is a fault of mine and not the tape. But yeah, that stuff is really good, better than, you know, your household masking tape or blue tape or whatever else you get at your local hardware store. So I'm sold on it. I'm going to use it, keep using it. You get a pretty good, decent roll for a good price. So anyway, the body's done, aside from decals, and so then we'll just talk about the chassis now. The chassis was painted in the same TS54 to match the blue on the body, on the roof. And pictures of this car, it appeared to be that blue color. At least what I could see from the bumpers and the roll cage, it was that same color blue. So we went with that. And then from there, I just did detail painting on the lower, upper and lower A-arms, the rack and pinion unit that I built. Did some detail paint on. I painted the brake boosters and these gauges up here. Painted those silver. At the last minute, I decided to plumb it for brakes. I wasn't going to do that at first, but then the more and more I got into the engine detail, I thought I would. So I went ahead, and I don't know if you can see it. I might have to get a pointer. But I went ahead and right here, I plumbed a fuel line up to this little juncture here, and then I used Protect braided line to go from that juncture up to the actual brake calipers, and those are just the kit part from the NASCAR kit. And then on this side, it goes from the this juncture down under the engine mount, and then over to this little post here. It's just a little piece of styrene tube that I glued to the frame before painting it. And then again, another piece of Protect braided line and fitting went from here to the brake caliper. We'll talk more about the Protect braided lines when I get to the engine. But I also added the coilover front shocks. And then these pieces right here were added later after the shocks were put in. I added these pieces, which are made out of, I don't know if you can see those very well, these little brackets. But I made those out of a piece of aluminum can that I had cut up. And then painted those, just brush painted, touch-up painted those after those were glued in. So I have all my front suspension stuff resolved. It's good to go. So all my front suspension is done. I don't know if you can see those pedals. I put some pedals in there from the kit. My steering shaft has been painted a silver color. I painted the shocks. I just detail painted the shocks. Or I'm sorry, the springs, the rear springs. I still need to paint the rear shocks, but the rear springs are painted. And I detail painted the rear end and got that plumbed for brake lines. My brake lines are a little funky. I didn't space these out exactly the same, so my braided lines are a little funky there, but you really won't see them once they're installed in the car, so I'm not going to sweat that too much. But this is ready to be installed. That'll be probably the next thing I do, is install the rear end into the car. I got my seat sorted out, and I don't know if you can see that detail there, but that is the Detail Master lever style harness, and I used their provided seatbelt material. And I've had this kit for, gosh, probably 20 years, plus years. and I never realized they sent you the material to make the seat belts, and it came out of the package. So I decided to use it. It's kind of like, you could probably use tracing paper. It's kind of like a parchment sort of paper. It's a lot thinner than I was using masking tape before, and you know, it accepts color really well. And I put those Simpson decals on it. So I liked using that Detail Master photo etch kit. I've just had it forever, and so I thought I would bite the bullet and try it. I used parts of it from the last build I did, so I was kind of familiar with the way they went together, but definitely a time-consuming, little tedious project that took probably about a week just to do all the little buckles and stuff. Couple other little odds and ends before we get to the engine. I made a shifter, and then put the holes in it. I basically took a piece of round evergreen and bent it to how I wanted it, because the shifter in this thing is pretty far up, and the seat sits pretty far back. So I needed a much longer reach shifter than what the kit provided. So I just cut it off. I kept the boot. I cut the shifter off of the boot, and I saved the little shifter ball from the NASCAR kit, and basically replaced the longer part, the actual shifter itself. I just replaced that with a scratch built piece and drilled holes in it to make it look like a, you know, performance racing piece. I think that turned out pretty well. I got my gas tank painted. I weathered it a little bit. Still need to do some work on that, plumb it up. And then let's look at the engine. So I've got the engine built and detailed, and this was the first time using the ProTech line of braided hoses. And so I got a couple different sizes. I got the 0.032 and 0.05 or 25, something like that. Two different sizes, and I've got two different size fittings. But I thought I would give it a go. Never used them before. I'd seen them used before, but I thought I would give it a shot. And they were a lot of fun to work with. Tedious, yes, but I think in the end, once it's all installed in the car, it'll really look the part. I don't have photos of this car with the engine bay open, or with the hood open, so I don't know if they used braided lines or not. I don't know. Have no idea. It might be a little too advanced for the time period, but since I don't know, I just went with it, and we're gonna, you know, I have no way of knowing what actual hoses were run. So anyway, I got the fuel. It will be coming in from the tank into this inline filter, and then down to the fuel pump, and then up from the fuel pump to this fuel log I made out of aluminum. And I have the ProTech fittings on there, as well as I just use colored craft wire for these hard lines into the carburetor. On the front, I made my own pulleys out of just parts box kit. I think this came out of the Rat Roaster 32 Ford. I'm not sure where these two pulleys came from, maybe a 1/24 scale NASCAR kit or something, but I like the detail on the actual pulley themselves, so I just cobbled together pulleys from other various kits. And on this side of this is a power steering pump, so this line here that runs, this will run down to the actual servo on the rack and pinion unit, and then this top one goes back, and there'll be a reservoir on close to the firewall that this line goes to. I've got valve covers from Ron Kuhn Resins. I got valve breathers from Ron Kuhn. The oil pan is a wet sump oil pan, also from Ron Kuhn. Made my own headers. This piece right here was my, my way of making ribbed radiator hose, which I just wrap detail or black metal wire around a piece of styrene to make it look ribbed. Did the same for the top radiator hose that'll be going in later. And then finally, so I made some wiring for the gauges. Since you'll be able to see the backs of the gauges on this, I'm actually going to be wiring the temperature gauges here. I've got a oil pressure gauge coming into the block, and then on the very back of the magneto, I've got a tack gauge. So that's what these three terminals, I guess you would call them, would be going into on the firewall. And then last but not least, I'm using a Morgan Automotive Detail magneto. Really love his stuff. You can order magnetos, distributors, 4-cylinder, 8-cylinder, 6-cylinder. You can order different colored caps, different colored wires, and combinations of things, and they make life so much easier. I really like using his distributors. So Morgan Automotive Detail distributor. I scratch built a starter, and what else? Oil filter was scratch built as well out of just a piece of evergreen. I got the manual transmission from the kit, so that's going to be kind of hidden. You won't really see much of that. And the last piece of the engine that I had to sort of cobble together, I made a tall air filter, because on the my reference material, the air filter was coming up through the hood. So I went ahead and made a hole in the hood where it would be, and made a little scoop just like the picture. But I had to fashion it to where the the air filter was sticking up, not outside the hood, but just even with the hood, like that. And the normal air filter that I was using wasn't quite high enough, and then spacing it out spacing it up from the carburetor using spacers on the carburetor just looked a little goofy and too unrealistic. So what I ended up doing was taking two air cleaners from the 32 Ford kit. I don't know which engine is in that Ford kit, but it's more modern engine. But the air cleaner's pretty plain Jane, and I like to use them in the stock car builds because don't have much use for those more modern Ford engines. So anyway, having said that, I put two together, and so this is the top of one, and this is the top of the other that I sanded down flat. And just made a taller version of the first one I was going to be making, and so I could sand it in such a way that it was the exact height that I wanted to replicate the picture. And then I just took a piece of bathroom tissue and white Elmer's glue, and to put the filter in. I tried doing a black wash on it, and it didn't really work out so well, so I'm probably going to go back over this with another piece of white tissue. So that's where we're at. I've got other little bits and bobs. I got the steering wheel painted. I gotta wire up the battery. I have the fire extinguisher paint detailed, so that can go in the interior anytime. Other pieces that have yet to be painted, I've got the radiator and all the tin work, that all the aluminum basically needs to be painted, all the aluminum pieces. But we're getting there. We're getting there, and it feels like we're actually making some progress. It's looking more realistic and more like a race car, so that's cool. That's always exciting. The one thing I'm very nervous about, I'm just going to be honest with you, is putting this engine into the frame. Is a pretty tight squeeze with the way these headers are positioned. So, I got this thing all detailed out, and, all my lines and fittings are exactly where I want them. And now I have to shoehorn this engine into that engine bay, and without breaking anything, or, as well as lining all my mounting points up. So that's going to be a practice in patience. That makes me a little nervous, but I will keep you updated, and stay tuned for that update. Honestly, that's probably what I'll probably do next, just because it's giving me a little bit of anxiety. So I want to make sure that I go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off, and go ahead and do that, get that out of the way, and then I can focus on, plumbing up the fuel cell, and getting the seat in, and painting up all of the aluminum pieces and such. So we're getting there. It's been a while since I posted a video, so this one's a little bit longer than usual. But we're approaching the home stretch, and once get around to getting decals on it, I think this thing will really start to take on a life of its own. So still looking pretty good for the show in January, so I'm looking forward to that. But until next time, guys, have a safe and happy Thanksgiving, and we will catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching.